Hello, it's time for another page turning Tuesday with Tom. What is this, you ask? This is chapters 10 through 15 on book 3. It's progressing very well. I hope to have that out at the end of the summer or sometime at the beginning of the fall. If all goes well. Thanks for tuning in. We're in chapter 6. We're on the Diamond D Ranch. One afternoon, while Mom is busy ironing clothes in the living room, I go upstairs and sit at John's tall desk to draw. His desk is in forbidden territory. While reaching for a particular pen in his red University of Cincinnati mug, I accidentally knock it over. The cup, seemingly in slow motion, rolls off the edge and falls to the plywood floor. Time goes back to normal speed when the mug shatters into pieces. Panicked, I run into the kitchen in search of a similar mug. We have one that's maroon and just a little smaller. It will have to do. I put the pens back into the mug, place it in the exact spot where the other one was, and frantically pray that John won't notice. My hands are shaking as I sweep up the mess, and my breathing is shallow and irregular as I bury the evidence about a mile away from the house. That evening, during dinner, John suddenly stops chewing his mouth full of food and asks, "Which one of you kids sat at my desk today?" Instant terror. I can't move. My siblings and I are silent. "One of you broke my college mug. Which one of you did that?" He looks into each one of our eyes. The silence is killing me, but I don't have the guts to admit it was me. "If no one speaks up, then you are all getting a black belt whipping." He looks around the table again. I should say something. I really want to, but I'm just too frightened. My face is burning red with shame. John stands, removes his belt, folds it in half, and gives it 3 hard, sharp snaps, the sound that precedes torture. We're doomed. "It was me," Chris says. "Then come with me." Chris follows John into the kitchen. We look at our mother. She can't even look at us in the eye and drops her head. The belt strikes Chris 3 times. Each time it does, I jump in my chair and I can almost feel it striking me. Chris yelps in pain with each blow. John comes back, weaving his belt back on, and then sits down and continues eating like nothing at all happened. A few minutes later, Chris returns. Her eyes are wet with tears. She sits down next to me and has one of those giant post-crying inhales. She steadies her breath while John glares at her. Crying at the table is forbidden. The second my eyes meet my sister's, she knows. She knows it was me. She knows how bad I feel. I want to tell her how sorry I am. I want to go back in time and have John beat me for what I did. I feel her hand gently squeeze mine under the table. I look at her. She slips me the faintest smile and blinks, slowly telling me that it's over, that it's okay, all is forgiven. I'm still too shaken to eat. I can't believe she did that for me, for all of us. While I did feel bad for letting Chris take the blame, I honestly didn't feel bad about breaking John's silly mug. How could I when all he does is push me away? He won't let me help him tinker with his car. He won't let me help him fix anything around the house. He won't let me go near any of his tools. Worst of all, he wouldn't let me help him build the Apollo Saturn V moon rocket model he brought home from work one day. It took my mother's intervention for him to even allow me to watch him build it. When it was completed, he made space for it next to the TV in the living room. That model of the rocket was huge. It was a couple inches taller than me. "Don't even think about touching this, ever," he yells at me. Ha! Then I thought I couldn't hate him any more than I already did. But that towering rocket was just too irresistible, and I was drawn to it like a magnet. It simply was beyond my limit of self-control not to touch it. And so I did, after school one day. Not only did I touch it, I took it apart and played with it at the dining room table. It would be hours before John came home, and even though my mother knew it was off limits, she let me play with the model that afternoon. And then it happened. Snap. Oh shit, I broke one of the delicate legs of the lunar module. It felt like I had broken my own femur. It seemed like John telepathically knew I had broken something in his office way back in Sacramento. I went into shock mode. Overwhelmed with fear and panic, I raced to my mother and showed her what I had done. "John is going to kill me. He's going to get away with it too because we live out in the country and he can bury me where I'll never be found." My mother doesn't panic. She knows where the model glue is and brings it to the table. She takes her time and fixes the part perfectly. Even under the lens and the magnifying glass John uses to count flies, the repair looks flawless. I'm so relieved. that I throw my arms around my mother. You saved my life. I probably did. This'll be our little secret, she says, smiling and winking at me. Then she puts the model back in its place by the television. This all took place right before the real Apollo 11 took off from Cape Canaveral. And now, a few days later, Neil Armstrong is preparing to be the first man to walk on the moon. We'll cut it off there today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your likes, your views, your shares. So I'll see you next time on another edition of Page Turning Tuesday with Tom. Bye-bye.